If you want to add some character to your 2024 or newer Toyota Tacoma's exhaust while sticking to a budget, this MBRP Armor Black single-side exit exhaust system will be one to check out. And I do want to mention that this system will not fit the models that do have leaf springs in the rear, so just make sure you're getting the correct exhaust for your setup. Nonetheless, this will bring a deeper and throatier tone to your 2.4 liter, getting itself a 3 out of 5 on the loudness meter, with 1 being stock and 5 being wake the neighbors loud. Great for the truck owner who wants a more aggressive system in tone while not being overwhelming in volume. Now, along with the comfortable yet noticeable sound of the system, the look will definitely be noticed. Sticking to the single side exit if you prefer a more minimal factory-like approach to the design, just want a sharper look to the back compared to the factory boring tailpipe. The biggest benefit here will be the sound, making the 4-cylinder turbo sound much deeper without much raspiness or much drone. Now, the improvement in that sound is thanks to the muffler at the front for that sporty street profile that you hear, and at the back this is going to have a resonator to trap all of the unwanted frequencies so you can hear it when you're really on it, but it will be drone free and pretty unnoticed while you're cruising. Now, this also has a pretty straightforward single side exit configuration, and the black piping and tip on the back really adds to that aggressive feel and a more finished appearance, especially with the large double wall angle cut tip, making a huge improvement when it comes to the look. Now, this system is made from a 3-inch mandrel bent steel material with an aluminized coating on top to prevent rust from forming, and a black powder coat after the main muffler portion to further that rust prevention. Now, this material will hold up very well in drier climates where there's not much salt or frequent extreme conditions, and the larger size is going to help when it comes to the flow, making for a more efficient system compared to factory. Now, the tip on the back, however, will have a very rust-resistant 304 stainless steel construction and that black powder coat on top, keeping what you see in mint condition. Now, it also comes with all of the hangers welded to the factory locations for direct bolt-on construction with no other modifications or cutting required, and all of the clamps and the hardware is included for a fairly straightforward install. Now, this will be one of the more affordable choices on the page at about $750. Again, one of the big reasons being that you're saving with this system is the more simplistic configuration, not requiring additional components like a dual exhaust wood, and the fact that the materials here are going to be a more entry-level option when it comes to exhaust compared to some of the premium and pricey stainless steel choices that you may not need for your application. Now, that's not to say that this system won't hold up well, because it will, but it also makes it a great way if you want that quick and easy solution to better the sound and sporty appearance without going overboard in price. Now, install will be straightforward, as I mentioned, but I would recommend a little bit of mechanical know-how in order to tackle this job. So I'm going to give it a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you no longer than 2 hours or so to get the job done. Now, at this point, we can head over to our shop, check out a detailed breakdown on how you can get this on your Tacoma, whether you are tackling this install at home or you're just curious about the install. So that is going to wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and get into it.
For this install, you need a 3/8 impact, 3/8 extension, a 15 and 14 millimeter socket, exhaust hanger tool, grinding tool, tape measure, marker, an 8 millimeter Allen wrench, and also not shown will be a cutting tool. All right, today we're going to be installing an exhaust on our Tacoma, so let's get started. All right, so we're going to start taking our factory exhaust off by working at the back and working our way forward. So we have our first flange here that's right in front of our rear axle. We're going to grab our impact and 14 millimeter socket and take these 2 nuts off. All right, now that those are off, this will allow us to remove our tailpipe. So we just have a couple hangers to hold our tailpipe section on. So we're gonna grab our exhaust hanger tool and pop our first one off here at the flange. And we just have our hanger in the rear here. Just support your exhaust. And then you pull the tail section out. Next, we're gonna come up to our next flange. So this is in front of our main muffler. We have 2 spring bolts here. Same thing, impact and 14 millimeter socket. Take those 2 out. Now that those are out, we have 3 hangers on our muffler that we'll take off. All right, so we have our 1 hanger in the rear and then we have 2 in the front of the muffler. So we're gonna use our hanger tool and pop them off. Just make sure you are supporting the exhaust because it will fall. All right, and we just take our 2 in the front off. And set this aside. All right, so now we have our last 2 spring bolts on our front flange. Same thing, we're just gonna put an extension on our 14mm socket to get those out. And then this is just held on 2 hangers, one here, one here. Pop those off. Pull front pipe out of the way. All right, now that we have our stock exhaust off, we need to start installing our new exhaust. To do that, we just need to do a little bit of modification. So since our truck has a 5-foot bed, we need to cut our mid pipe. Now our mid pipe is the S-curve pipe right after our front flange pipe. So we're gonna cut 13.2 inches off of the back end of the pipe here. Just grab a tape measure, measure that out, grab a marker and mark it. You can see I already did that, marked it all the way around. Now we're gonna go to our saw and get that cut off. All right, now that you have that all cut, what you're gonna do is clean up the edges of the metal here. I have a grinder with a sanding disc on it that just went around the outside and inside edge just to clean up any sharp edges. Now that you have that done, we can go ahead and start installing our exhaust. All right, so we're gonna start with our front flange pipe. So you're just gonna feed it up over our cross member here. Get that up around our flange, and we have our 2 hangers, one in the front here. And then one on the back if you need to. This is very easy just to pop off, slide onto our exhaust and back onto our hanger. We just get our 2 factory spring bolts and just loosely thread them in for right now. Next we can install our mid pipe. All right, so we're gonna grab one of our clamps. They are all the same size. They are all 3 inches. I'm gonna slide that over our mid pipe first, and then onto our front flange pipe. Just like that. So here where we have our double hangers, we have our new hanger for our exhaust. This is also a clamp holder. So you're gonna squeeze one of our clamps together. So make sure you just catch the nut. It's just gonna slide into that groove like that. Sit like so. And then that will go into these 2 isolators here. If you need to, you can put it over our mid pipe first and then into your isolators. You have that on, we can install our muffler. Now we're gonna get our muffler in. Now the end of our muffler will slide into this clamp here. It's just a little awkward, but just take your time and carefully slide it over. All right, once you get that set in there, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start tightening the front half of our exhaust down, and we can get the rest installed. Okay, we're gonna grab our impact, extension, and 14mm socket. We're gonna tighten down our 2 spring bolts. Now you wanna go back and forth and tighten them down evenly so it doesn't pull to one side. You can go ahead and do that now. So now we have our two clamps, one here and the one with our hanger. They are both 15 millimeters. So we're gonna grab our impact and 15 millimeter socket, tighten them down. The next part in our exhaust, we're gonna put our over the axle pipe on. We're gonna feed it up over our axle and into our muffler here. Now we have our two hangers here and here that we're gonna use. Let's just get this in here first. And then we can pull, if you need to, you pull the isolators off. Put them on the exhaust hanger first and then the factory. Sometimes that just makes it a little bit easier. And as you can see, we already had our clamp on here, and then now we can get our tailpipe section on. So we have our tailpipe section here. Once again, we have our clamp on first. We're gonna go into our over the axle pipe and our hanger here. All right, once you have that in there, we just need to put our tip on. So we're gonna put our tip on. As you can see, there is an Allen bolt on the side there. So we're gonna get that on and adjust it where you want. Grab our 8 millimeter Allen wrench and tighten that down. All right, once that's tightened down, we can go ahead and tighten our last two clamps down and we'll be all done. Grab your impact and 15 millimeter socket and we'll tighten down our clamp after our muffler. And we just have our clamp for our tail section and over the axle pipe. Get that located and tighten that down. And that wraps up our install of our MBRP Armor Black single exhaust system side exit for our 2024 and newer Tacoma without leaf springs. And remember, for everything Tacoma, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.